There's one thing that gets people upset. It's when they're subscribed to a service and you get an email notification that prices are going up. Well, PlayStation has pissed off some of its users because the cost of PlayStation Plus is going up in Europe. That's one of the stories we're going to be talking about. The other one is the information that hit today about Killing Floor 2 coming to the Xbox One X, but at 1080p. What does that mean? We're going to be talking about that, and even I really care about the resolutions of a game. You guys should already know the answer to that if you've been paying attention to me for a while. So we're going to hit both of these topics. I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and it's going to be good. All right, so PlayStation Plus. Sony is raising the prices like £10 or whatever starting August 31st. It's going to match the recent price hike that the U.S. members have been paying since last year. And then you hear a lot of, wailing, teeth gnashing, people complaining like, oh, how is Sony going to justify this? How could they raise the prices? They got to give us something in return. There's rumors around that they're going to combine PlayStation Now with PlayStation Plus. They're going to change PSN or PlayStation Plus by giving 2 PS4 games plus any 2 PS Now games plus 2 movies to all their subscribers. And that may be. I mean, it's possible. I think that's more unlikely. I think with Xbox Live and PlayStation, considering they locked multiplayer behind a paywall, I think both these companies are trying to feel out how much they can get away with. And this isn't really so much a PlayStation thing. It's just kind of a corporation thing. People love multiplayer. Look at the most played games this gen, whether on Xbox or PlayStation. It's those games that have a long tail, ones like Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege, Halo 5s, and stuff like that, right? The games that people play multiplayer for. But on console, you have to pay for it. And I honestly think a lot of these corporations, Sony, Microsoft, feel that even if they raise the prices, that people would still pay because they want to play their games online with their friends, and they'll pay for that. And a little $10 or £10 increase isn't really going to do much other than people getting online and complaining. And that's my honest assessment of this stuff. Now, I can't remember the last time they raised prices of Xbox Live. I'm sure somebody will point that out in chat, but I'm sure maybe somewhere down the line, whether it's 2 years, they'll raise prices and they'll blame inflation, and people will still pay the $50 or whatever it is a year, or $60 because they want to play the multiplayer focused games. Now, it would be really cool, and I'm hoping PlayStation does actually do something different, because I enjoy competition between the companies. Sony does something, Microsoft responds. Microsoft does something, Sony responds. And in the end, we all win. So if Sony raises the prices because they're going to do something different, and that different thing is actually really cool or really unique, and that forces Microsoft to copy it or whatever, then you know what? Whatever. I'm all good for that. I want to see kind of innovation, thinking outside the box to push competition in the gaming space. But my honest thoughts is that they're just doing it because they know they can get away with it, and they wanted to kind of make it equal across North America and Europe. I mean, think about this. They make billions of dollars on these subscription services. Both Xbox, PlayStation, they make so much money, right? And that's why I always laugh when people say, oh, at this year's E3, they're going to make Xbox Live free, or they're going to make PSN Plus free. It should be free, and I agree with those people that we shouldn't have to pay for multiplayer. But these corporations, you got to remember, at the end of the day, they're only out for one thing, and that's your money, right? And nobody can tell you how. Only you can determine whether or not the extra $10 is worth it for you. If you don't think it is, unsubscribe. But if you do, then pay for it. But my point is, these companies make so much money off of these subscription services to play multiplayer that they're never going to make it free. And that's just kind of depressing to know. So yeah, that's the PlayStation Plus stuff. That's my thoughts on it. But we're going to go on to Killing Floor 2, because this kind of ran rampant on Twitter. You have Xbox fans talking about it, being kind of not depressed, but being like, really? What's up with this? And then, of course, you have PlayStation fans making fun of Xbox One X, like, oh, even the beast can't run Killing Floor 2 at native 4K. So Killing Floor 2 is going to run at 1800p native on Xbox One, and 4K would have had too much of a frame drop. Now, I haven't played this game, so I'm not sure if it's any good, although I hear it is. And when they say it would have too much of a frame drop, I'm assuming it's because the game runs at 60. Now, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always said frame rate is better than resolution, or at least matters more to me. I'll always choose resolution over, or always choose frame rate over the resolution. So if they're talking about it would have too much of a frame rate drop from 60 to whatever, then good, this is the right decision to make, because I just don't really care about the resolution of these games and what they're running at on Xbox One X. I care about the frame rate. That's more important to me. However, one interesting thing from this interview or this article that we actually talked about yesterday, remember the Cliffy B thing where he was kind of saying, insinuating that these developers were lying about how easy it is to get your games running up on Xbox One X? Well, one of the first things that you see here is Dave Elder, who's a senior graphics programmer on Killing Floor 2, said that the Xbox One X was a very smooth and easy platform to develop for. It took very little engineering effort to get our base Xbox One game running on the Xbox One X. It took maybe 4 hours of programming effort total. Killing Floor 2 runs at a native 1800p, fixed resolution, no checkerboarding on Xbox One X. But yeah, so it's going to have ultra textures too and all that cool stuff. But yeah, 4 hours of programming effort total. Now, he also says, and maybe this is where the disparity with Cliffy B has been talking about is kind of apparent, is that he says they took their base Xbox One game and they put it on Xbox One X in 4 hours. Now, the thing about Lawbreakers is there probably is no Xbox One version, right? So it probably took them quite a while to get their game running on Xbox One, the base version, since all versions have to, there has to be an Xbox One version. But because it's so easy to get it up on X, it took so little. Maybe that's what Cliffy B was talking about. The idea that it's not as simple, because they would have to get it running on Xbox One, which probably takes a lot of time, and then port it to Xbox One X, which all these developers say is super easy. So maybe that's what Cliffy was talking about. Either way, I'm looking forward to playing this game when it comes out on the Xbox. Maybe I'll wait for it to come out on the X so I can play it at a higher resolution. I don't really care. The resolution stuff doesn't really matter to me. I kind of would rather play most games at 60 frames, but that's what my thoughts on the matter. So let me know what you guys think. Killing Floor 2, is this kind of stuff overblown? Does resolution really matter? 4K, 1080p, checkerboarding nonsense? We prefer frame rate stuff? And as far as the PlayStation Plus stuff, do you think they're just raising the prices because they can? Are they going to be changing the model to help people accept the $10 increase? I'm curious to see what everybody thinks about that. And yeah, so I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.